It's been a sighting. Okay, everybody, good morning. And we're now going on. We finished the chapter 25 yesterday, and now we're chapter 26, I should say. Now, chapter 27, and we are Bezrat Hashem going to finish this. We only have a couple of pages left. So before I leave, we're going to finish this, and that'll be a really great accomplishment. And it's perfect timing to finish this before Tisha B'Av. So it's Oh Hashem. And the truth of the matter is, I'd like to take credit, but I won't because it's not true. I didn't even say anything.
You wish you could take credit.
Yeah, the way the timing in terms of like finishing that we learned it, in the winter, then going up into whatever we started this. I guess not. Whatever, I don't remember when we started it, but going through up to Tisha B'Av and finishing right before Tisha B'Av is like couldn't be better timing this because it deals with how to neutralize sinat chinam, baseless hatred. So it couldn't be better timing, but I didn't plan it that way. Because Baruch Hu planned it that way. That's even better. Okay, so chapter 27. I just want to mention, yesterday we talked about the kind of rhythm that exists in the relationship between the notion of generality, specificity, and generality. We could call it that, right? You have the point of the yud, which is chokhmah, that's generality, right? There's no specifics, there's no analysis. And then that flows into analysis, specificity, fleshing out dimensionality, that's binah. And here's the ironic thing, that then it flows forward. You could look at it, or you could say flows back, but I think flow forward is a better way to describe it, back into generality. And that is that you have sort of a more informed point, or more informed essence. So essence, detail, essence. But the essence which comes out of the detail is a more informed essence. And the way we described this yesterday using a kind of metaphor, if you take a music appreciation class, and so you know the musical structure and the mathematical structure of something, we call it music appreciation. Now you appreciate Beethoven's Ninth Symphony better, except for if you go to a symphony and you think about it in mathematical and historical terms, you're going to not actually enjoy the music. So you have to sort of go from the, wow, I love this music, to now I want to appreciate it more deeply, and now press the delete button in a sense, and now just enjoy the music.
But composition, though, it's just even better, I think, because you have an idea and then you write it out and then you play it and it's a whole.
Yeah, but if you think about it too analytically, you can actually lose the sort of sense of wonder. You have wonder, right? But the wonder is even greater. In other words, like maybe another way of looking at it is like a scientist. Like let's say a scientist. I mean, I'm going to say something, just a sort of a silly example. Like, let's say if you're a meteorologist or atmospheric scientist, I'm not really sure what the right term would be. So,
what's your sniper?
Oh, that's true. We have, in San Jose.
Mark
right.
Taylor also has a degree in that.
Right. So so on the one hand, the scientific, I like say a person who looks at it, morning, welcome. So on the one hand, a person who appreciates just a sunset, a beautiful sunset, a person comes and appreciates a beautiful sunset. So that's an amazing thing, right? And then on the other hand, you could say like a person who has a PhD in meteorology or atmospheric science, the appreciation of that experience is on a much deeper level, like exactly why these colors are existing, the refraction of the light, the atmospheric conditions, etc. But if they're looking at it just through scientific eyes, they're actually going to miss the sense of awe. So they have to, the next step would be to appreciate the same thing, but not to, but to remove the bina aspect of it, the analytical aspect of it. And so that's the idea of what the Sefer Yetzirah said of Havein Bechokhmah, that to use the bina capabilities, analytical capabilities to analyze chokhmah, which is just the generality, but then to go to the next step, which is chacham b'bina, to return back to the seminal essence, but as informed by the analysis. but I think I don't know who it was. I don't want to. I'll give credit to everybody. I had this feeling it was coming from this direction. The word synthesis. I think synergy. Yeah. So because it reminded me of an idea that you hear a lot, especially in the writings of Rav Kook, where he talks about a kind of rhythm in which you have, this is found also in other thinkers as well, non-Jewish thinkers as well, of thesis, antithesis, synthesis, that rhythm. So you have, or to use the language here, davar, hipucho. So you have something and its opposite. That's chokhmah and binah are opposites, right? Generality and detail.
Hipucho means opposite.
Yeah, it's opposite. So davar v'hipucho, the thing and its opposite, but then those two opposites resolve themselves through synthesis into like a higher generality, right? So so that was perhaps a way of describing what happened. Now, what we're going to do now is go deeper, believe it or not, into this idea by describing the primordial process of creation. So just put on your seatbelts and let's begin. So we're on chapter 27 on page Lamed Aleph here at the very beginning. So we're going to explain this better by understanding, as a preface, the notion of the hiding and the revelation, the concealment and revelation in its very root, in the very root of creation. That, as our sages said, this is quoting from Masechet Shabbat, in the beginning of creation, there was chashocha, choshech, darkness, v'hadar, and afterwards nahora, afterwards light. Darkness followed by light. What are those terms, darkness and light, a metaphor for? This rhythm of hiddenness, contraction, or you could talk about it in terms of klal, generality, versus revelation, that's specificity, or chokhmah and binah. V'itachadut liyot me'achoshech ve'helem, or v'gilui, me'agilui helem. And the synthesis, see, this is exactly, he calls it hitachadut. I'm using the word synthesis, which means the reunification of these two opposites, so that that from the darkness and the hiddenness comes light and revelation, and then from the revelation comes the hiddenness. So that's this rhythm of thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
I'm a little confused. After revelation, why is it followed by hidden?
That's to return to. So we just use you missed it because we just said it. Let's say it real quick. When you listen to Beethoven's Ninth or you watch a sunset, turn off the scientific appreciation because you want to experience the awe. You have to go back to the primordial hiddenness of awe. Awe flows out of hiddenness. You know, it's interesting. That's exactly, in a certain sense, that's what awe is. If you think about it psychologically, you know, when our mouth drops and we just feel this sort of tingle up and down our spine, isn't it flowing from a sense of I don't know this, right? I don't understand this, but in a wondrous sense. As a matter of fact, the English word wondrous, something is wondrous, because doesn't wonder mean wonder? By definition, that word means I don't. It's beyond my capacity to understand. That's wonder, and something is wondrous. That's that sense of awe. But if a person feels too much that they can capture it in analytical terms, they're not going to experience the wonder, the wondrousness of something.
That's how you should be of Shem. With Hashem, you should fear and awe Hashem, because you can't no one can really understand.
Right? Because if you think you understand things, you took your Madonna Kabbalah Center course and you got it all figured out.
Right?
The original shock and awe.
Okay. Dihine yadua katu beitz chaim. The kodem atzimtzum arishon hanikra makom panui haya or insof mimalei kol halal. Okay, we're not old enough to actually learn this next sentence, but we'll just pretend. So, behold, it's known in the Sefer Eitz Chaim, one of the very important 16th century books of Kabbalah coming from Tzfat, that before the original contraction or concealment, which is called Makom Panui, the evacuation of space. Okay, right? This is, of course, the very famous idea that in order to be able to create space for creation, there had to be a kind of process of concealment of the divine light, or else nothing else can exist. Haya or sof malay kol halal. So all the space was, in fact, filled by nothing but Or Ein Sof, the light of the infinite. Okay, so explains in Eitz Chaim. But there wasn't just a revelation of the Or Ein Sof, this light of the infinite by itself. That before the world was created, there was only him and his name alone. You are holy, and your name is holy. You and your name are one. These are all expressions of the idea of absolute unity, absolute divine light, with no room for any kind of separate existence. Is a theme we return to many, many times. Shezeh bechinat malchut de Ein Sof. In Kabbalistic terms, this is the notion of malchut of Ein Sof, right? So Ein Sof, so the infinite, but malchut, the part of the lowest sphira, which can ultimately lead into creation. Shinikra Shmo Gadol. That's what's known as his great name, right? Name, we've talked about this a lot. A name is kind of an expression. It's a way we talked about, remember a handle, this idea? I think we talked about it here. But it's a name. Name is already an expression outward, but it's an expression outward which is so close to essence. That's why it's called Shmo HaGadol, his great name. Or when we say in Kaddish, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, may his great name. That we call, what do you mean when we say, we're about to say Kaddish in a few minutes, Bezrat Hashem. We'll say, Yehei Shmei Rabbah, right? May his great name, Yehei Shmei Rabbah. Now, when you hear that name, you'll think Malchut, Or Ein Sof, the Ein Sof. It's the Malchut aspect of Ein Sof. But Malchut is external expression, right? There's no such thing as a king. Malchut means kingship, unless you're radiating outwards. Like you're on a desert island by yourself in a vacuum, that you ain't not much of a king.
You have to subjects.
You have to have already relating towards creation. So it's Malchut de Ein Sof. That's Yehei Shmei Rabbah. Shmei Rabbah, the great name. Shakalul b'mahut inyan barak mamash. V'acharei chen tzimtzem et atzmo. So what happened? So it's just this primordial light. HaKadosh Baruch Hu then contracted himself, right? The light contracted itself. V'nistaleka or rishon. So the original light goes away. V'nichlal batzmut Ein Sof. And it becomes absorbed and hidden into Ein Sof, into the infinite. V'lo nishar rak roshem me'or rishon. There's just a residual light of that first divine light, a residual light. B'chinat nikuda achat levad, just one little dot of the original. Nikudat the yud, just like the yud of Hashem's name. That is the residual or the residue. It's the residue of the original primal light. Okay, the nikuda zo kolelet kol ma she'efshar liyot ba b'seder ishtalshlut. But you know what? That nikuda, that dot, includes everything that's going to flow from it. So you have the divine light, but existence can't exist. The divine light contracts into Ein Sof. There's a little speck of light left. That speck of light is the Yud, but in that speck of light is contained all further light, which can create all further devolution of existence. You know what it reminds me of, in a sense? DNA.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Because, you have the original, DNA, and the everything is in that little drop, right? Even that is, the fact that there's going to be, and this is a really interesting aspect of biology, differential biology. How does that happen? You get from one cell, undifferentiated cell, parts going to become a nose, from which you can clone Woody Allen, and parts going to become ears and a gray beard. Right? Sleeper. You didn't get to Woody Allen?
I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
But the early movies were very good.
Yeah, that's the before. Yeah. Shezeu ma shenishar hanikuda lachar tzimtzum. Right? That after the tzimtzum, you have the dot, and that dot contains everything within it. Yod da'or rishon, yishar l'lamot l'kabel or zeh klal. And the reason that to happen, that tzimtzum, is because the worlds cannot receive the powerful primal divine light. So that's why Kodesh Baruch Hu hid and contracted the light within himself. There just remained that little tiny dot. Shu efes katseu, it's just a tiny little smidgen. You know the English word smidgen. Which would come subsequent to that, to the realm of revelation. It's like the example we gave above of a person who's trying to teach something. If you try to teach something to a beginner and you try to teach it as you understand it yourself, forget it. What you have to do is conceal. And out of that concealment, have just a little residual of light. And that's the only way you can conceal. Okay, I know a lot of teachers make this mistake. See, in all kinds of fields.
Oh, yeah. My daughter complained consistently in high school.
Yeah.
They were just talking over their head.
Yeah, and it becomes overwhelming for the student. It becomes actually very intimidating. I know many times, someone tries to teach you something, and it's just overwhelming, and so you just say, "I'm out of here. I'm not going to learn it." The teacher has to conceal, and out of that concealment comes the residual point, but that point contains everything in it. Okay, we'll have to pause here, and we'll go on Be'ezrat Hashem tomorrow.
Calendars.
At 6
I saw
o'clock,
that.
don't
I
forget.
put that.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Wait. No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's only Wednesday.
Yes, what's
Oh,